What's up, YouTube? Today, in this video, or well, for me, this evening in this video, I know I didn't come jumping out of the gate with the video in regards to the final specs on the Pentax K-3 III, which to me seems to be a camera that came from a K1 marrying a KP, and then one of them had an affair with a K3 II. Yeah, and this is the offspring of that diabolical situation. Now, in regards to the actual Pentax K-3 III, this is going to be a longer video than what everyone else has done. We're going to actually look spec, not each individual spec, but we're going to go a bit deeper into the specifications because there is a lot that has changed. There are a lot of updates that they have done. Overall, though, I mean, this is an amazing camera for Pentax. It's still not what I would have expected in this day and age, unfortunately. Oh, and that asking price of 200,000 yen, that works out to approximately $2,000 US. That's a really tough ask. Really tough ask. Even in regards to the cameras that Pentax already has out. The K70, KP, K1 Mark II. For another APS-C camera to rival the price point of a full frame, one of the greatest full frame landscape cameras ever made. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, okay, so in regards to the lens mount, as expected, it's a KAF4, KAF3, KAF2 with power zoom compatibility, KAF and KA mount lens compatibility. So it does support pretty much everything, all the way from the brand new PLMs going all the way back throughout history. And it is a 26 megapixel sensor, so it does seem to be the newer, I can't say new because this camera's been under development for a long time, so what we see as being new is probably a few years old already, unfortunately. I wish I could just stop saying stuff like that, but you know what, it's the truth. That's just how it is. So it does look like it's the backside illuminated Sony 26 megapixel sensor. It does use the ultrasonic dust removal 2 system, similar to the KP. The high ISO sensitivity is mind-blowing. 1,600,000 ISO. Nobody's going to shoot at that. However, bringing the ISO back down, the quality of higher than what we're used to ISO shooting should be phenomenal. I honestly do not see any reason why a 25,800 ISO shot would not actually look clean and be usable, especially with a max ISO of 1,600,000. Like, that's bananas, man. Like, what? I don't understand. I don't get it. It's crazy. I don't know what they're thinking, man, but I hope it works. Image stabilization, the usual sensor shift. It is 5-axis. 5-axis, axis, I don't know. 5-axis stabilization with auto panning off compensation, and it does 5.5 steps. So it is the same shake reduction 2 that is already on the market. Now let's see, it's got the AA filter simulator, so there is no AA filter in front of the sensor. And I'm looking for something. Yeah, yes, dual card slots. There's a slight caveat about that, though. So it supports SD, SDHC, and SDXC. So it does support the SD high capacity and SD extra capacity memory cards, which conforms to USH. Oh, they messed up. It actually says conforms to USH. It should be UHS. So it conforms to Ultra High Speed 1 and Ultra High Speed 2 standards. However, the caveat is Ultra High Speed 2 is only supported in slot 1. You cannot use it in slot 2. So you'll have to choose which one you're going to shoot your raw images to very wisely. Because there's another thing I noticed as well. Okay, so in regards to the viewfinder, we'll get to the memory card thing in a minute. In the viewfinder overlay, there is the autofocus points, a grid display, electronic level, autofocus frame, spot metering frame, crop, smart function, and operation control lock. I guess there's a little symbol that lets you know that your controls are locked. Now, for the crop, I think it's going to be 1-to-1, you know, for Instagram. You know, you gotta give it up for the gram. So if you're into that kind of thing, it should have a 1-to-1 crop. I'm thinking it's probably one of the options, along with 4:3 and 16:9. I think those would be the three choices that should be implemented in there. Whether or not it's actually going to be the case, we'll have to wait until the camera comes out to actually know for sure. Let's see, for live view focusing, they're using contrast detection with auto area, zone select, tracking, and select, as well as spot. So nothing really out of the ordinary there. Let's see, focus peaking, face detection, touch autofocus. So, we can touch it. We get to touch it. But what I want to know is, can we swipe it? Can we swipe it? Nah. That's what I want to know. Because it would be nice if, you know, as you're reviewing your images, if you could actually just swipe across and pinch to zoom in and out. You know, or is it just strictly touch? And if it is touch, will it actually work better than the app? Because that video that I showed with the app, when you're touching certain spots, it doesn't work because it's outside of the actual focus zone. So seeing as this has 101 focus points and it is a 3:2 screen, it should be a perfect representation of the dimensions of the scene. So you should be able to touch almost anywhere on that screen in order to get your focus points. There shouldn't be a big gap between, you know, not working and working. It should be pretty widespread across the whole screen. So we'll just have to wait and see about that. Moving on. So it is a capacitive touchscreen, so that's also good. You know, for the iPhone gloves, especially in like winter time, cold weather environments, things like that. You know, the gloves that actually maintain the touch sensitivity, you can use those on the screen. So that I think is a good thing. Now let's see, what else was there? There's a different thing with the white balance. Looks like they've expanded that as well. You have the usual white balances like daylight, shade, cloudy, auto, multi-auto. However, for fluorescent light, there's daytime color, nighttime white, cool white, and warm white. And then you have your usual tungsten light as well. Let's see, and you can also copy the white balance setting from an actual captured image. And white balance is adjustable plus or minus 14 steps. Now the viewfinder autofocus is the usual through the lens phase matching autofocus, Sapfox 13, 101 points. However, only 25 of them are cross type. So technically speaking, it doesn't have any more cross type focus pixels than the K3 from back then. The KP has it as well. K3, K3 II, KP all have 25 cross type. So I don't know how the implementation of all the other focus points is actually going to be. Is it actually partial on sensor? And how well is it going to track objects moving towards and away from the camera? That's their big shortfall, and that's what they need to focus on. I've already shown that, you know, taking shots horizontally, System works great, tracks no problem. Boom! You know, Bob's not my uncle, but some people say he is. You know, so that's going to be really, you know, the testament to this camera is how much did they improve the autofocus for tracking and, you know, keeping in sync with objects moving away and towards the actual camera. Now let's see where and they've also upgraded the metering system as well, because the K3, I think the KP as well, they each used 86,000 pixel RGB sensor. So what they've done is this is actually now using a 307,000 pixel RGB IR sensor. So it does have some infrared ability, because I know specifically the K3, KP, K3 II, and KP, they both showed the 86,000 RGB, and that was it. This actually specifically states it's an RGB IR sensor. So I don't know if it's more sensitive or it's just the way it can pick the lighting. I don't know what that extra implementation is, to be honest, but they have upgraded it. So that's another plus. Booyah! So there is an electronic shutter. It does have a statement here, electronic shutter when using pixel shift resolution. It's an electronically controlled vertical run focal plane shutter, and that's for just the standard mechanical shutter. So it's nothing that we're not already used to. Shutter speed is max 1/8,000th of a second, and there is bulb mode. Drive mode, single frame, continuous, high, medium, low, bracketing 2, 3, or 5 frames, depth of field bracketing, motion bracketing, mirror up, multi-exposure, average, additive, bright, interval shooting, and interval composite. So it's the same drive modes as what is already known on the KP. Possibly the K70 as well. I know the KP for sure. And you know, your regular self-timers, remote control, to do continuous shooting. Now this is where I got confused. So it shows here JPEG large continuous shooting at 12 frames per second in high speed is up to 37 frames captured. For RAW it states up to approximately 32 frames, and then right after that it says RAW up to approximately 30 frames. And at the very bottom it says depending on shooting conditions and continuous shooting speed slows down with high sensitivity. Now, are these different raw numbers based on which slot you have the memory card in? That's why, you know, having ultra high speed 2 in only slot 1. So, you know, what I would do is throw the raw card, if you're going to shoot raw plus JPEG, for example, which this camera might force you to have to do that. You know, if you're shooting RAW plus JPEG to 2 separate cards, throw the RAW card into slot 1 and the JPEG card into slot 2. You know, I don't know why there's these varying numbers here in regards to the RAW frames, but it is what it is. And it does not have a built-in flash. However, it does have flash control to a certain extent when you're using an external flash on the hot shoe. And the sync speed is 1/200th of a second for the flash sync speed. You've got your custom image, cross-process, digital filters, clarity, skin tone, HDR, pixel shift resolution, with motion correction on and off. Your lens corrections, it's the usual distortion correction, peripheral illumination correction, lateral chromatic aberration correction and diffraction correction, your dynamic range correction of highlight correction, shadow correction, to do noise reduction, slow shutter speed noise reduction, high ISO noise reduction. So nothing any different than what's already been out there for us Pentaxians. Let's see here. So, well, here's something different. So program mode, or P mode, some call professional mode. We've got auto, normal, high speed priority, depth of field priority deep, depth of field priority shallow, and MTF priority, where the camera will adjust the aperture to give you the sharpest image or best aperture in the focal length of the lens that you're using across the board. So as you zoom, it'll continuously change the aperture to give you the sharpest image. Now for video, woohoo! We have 4K! It's about time! but it's 4K, 30p, and 24p. 1080 is 1080p, well, 1080, 60p, 30p, 24p. So there's no more interlacing. It is all progressive scans, so at least they have increased the quality. However, it would have been nice if there was, at least in the 1080p, if there was at least, like, 120p. Just give us 1080 at 120, for those nice smooth slow motion shots. I mean, you can work it with 60p, but it's just a lot easier with 120. Now, it does have a built-in stereo microphone, has an external microphone port that supports stereo as well, recording sound level adjustable, and it also has built-in wind noise reduction. So that's a good thing. Recording time is up to 25 minutes or 4 gigs. Or it automatically stops recording if the internal temperature of the camera becomes high. So it's really that aspect right there. I mean, that is not any different than any of the other Pentax cameras that have already been out. Yeah, just the $2,000 for the asking price. I can't get over that. I really can't. Well, okay, getting back to that in a second, but the camera does also have the usual, being able to process your raw images in camera. It does have all those features as well. The usual things that we're used to. It has a lot of customization as well, so it's got a whole bunch of different settings and whatnot. Even including like the manual lenses, so you can input the focal length of the manual lenses that you're putting in. It does use the DLI 90 battery, so those of us with K3, K3 II, K1, K1 Mark II, I think the K5 as well. All those batteries work, so you don't have to buy extra batteries. You're already going to have extra batteries. And it does state that it will shoot approximately 800 images, which for a Pentax camera, that's pretty good. However, I have seen some other channels that are comparing it to other, the competition, Nikon, Canon, where people are saying they can shoot 2,000 images. It has to do with the density of the cells that are in the battery. I guess the Pentax one, it just doesn't have the density of those other batteries. Whether the physical size of the battery is larger or smaller doesn't really matter. It has to do with the amount of power density each one of those cells actually has. But 800 images, I'm okay with that. Just bring 2 batteries. You use 1,600 images. I don't see the problem. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much, and it also has Bluetooth. And I have a thought about the Bluetooth. So I'm wondering if the Bluetooth, because there is no Astro Tracer. There's absolutely no mention whatsoever of Astro Tracer in this camera, period. Bar none. Don't even look for it. It ain't going to be there. One is they probably want to sell the OGPS. It's kind of hard when you have that device and nobody's buying it because you're already implementing that technology into the camera body itself. That, and this really is not meant to be an astro tracing camera. It, to me, is a sports, high speed, birds in flight, motorsports, high action, that kind of camera. With that said, the Bluetooth capability, I'm wondering if that is to tether directly to the phone, like to your smartphone, and use that for geotagging the locations of where you went. But obviously they're just flat out zero. No Astro Tracer. And it does have, the newest standards in regards to Wi-Fi. And the USB connections, it's USB 3.2. It's got data transfer and showing MTP and CD-ROM. Now, what I'm wondering is, with this USB, will it allow you to actually tether? I know Pentax has a software, it's available for the KP, where you can tether the KP to your computer and run the software to control the KP directly from the computer, which would be great for portrait photographers. Will this actually have that option as well? Who knows? No, and it is USB Type-C, so at least that's modern. Yeah, so, honestly, overall, and it also does have an HDMI output terminal, HDMI Type D. Whether it's going to be clean HDMI out, we don't know, and we won't know until the camera actually comes out. Yeah, the thing is, the $2,000 asking, like $2,000 US, that asking price, if that's for the body only, okay, I could justify it if it's coming with the 1650 PLM lens. I think it was the 1650 PLM. I think that's what it was. If it's coming bundled together with that, then yeah, okay, I can understand why it's so much. But if it's just the body only, I really hope the street price is not $2,000, because from what I've seen online, a lot of people are saying they are going to flat out skip this camera and they're just going to grab a K1 Mark II or a KP. Or there are people that are saying they're just going to jump ship and just go somewhere else because it's more cost effective. So I really hope that the street price of this camera is not the 200,000 yen. I don't see how they're going to sell a whole lot of these. Like it's a fantastic, on paper, like science on paper, sounds fantastic. But how does it actually get along in the real world? You know what I'm saying? So with the downturn of the camera market and the $2,000 asking price, when you're bordering on your own full frame camera pricing, it's really hard to justify. Do I want to get one? Oh, of course. I'd love to get one. Can I justify it? That depends on the real world when it's actually announced in February. So I guess we'll just have to wait until the very end of February to find out exactly what this thing is going to be like. Whew, that was a lot to say in one breath. All right. Well, anyway, that's it. I went over pretty much in detail, what this camera is all about. The specs on paper do look good. They look fantastic and phenomenal for a Pentax camera. How that's going to correlate into the real world in regards to the competition. Yes, I know it's a DSLR camera competition in regards to market segment and whatnot. It's still competition, regardless if it's DSLR versus a mirrorless camera. They're just different formats, but they still compete. So, you got to look at everything. Anyway, that's it for me. If you like the video, leave a like. I know it's been a long video, but I wanted to go in depth and really focus on this thing. Yeah, so leave a like if you like the video. I know I already said that, but I'm going to say it again. And if you want to support the channel, I'll leave that information at the bottom of the description. And, oh, man, before I forget, I was going to say this earlier. 9 months ago, I made a video, put it on YouTube. Check it out. I told y'all that this was going to have a new autofocus system. Ding, 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 ding. And I was right. New autofocus system. Anyway, all right, that was just a humble brag. All right, I'll catch you guys next time. And, keep shooting. Stay safe. And, yeah, if you'd like to support the channel, I leave that information at the bottom of the description. You have any questions, comments, leave them down below. And you guys will see me on my next video. I'm out.